I don't go over a subject. I tend to talk a lot, so I don't want to get distracted, so I prepare a presentation. Can I try to see if I can share my screen and
Yes, you should be able to do that now.
okay,
Let me
let me
know.
and first I'm gonna close a few windows because I don't want my computer to like have a mental breakdown.
I understand you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's visible. Good.
Okay, cool.
I'll give you a couple heads up just before we get into your presentation. One, I have a couple backgrounds.
It depends. You can say Emily, it's easier, but it's Emilia.
Okay.
But I can go with Emily or Emmy either way.
And where are you? Are you in Miami?
No, I'm in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
You're in Buenos
Okay,
Aires, right?
Rosario.
Oh, Rosario, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you're far away.
But we're going to San Francisco tomorrow, actually. We're traveling to San Francisco for Tech Week tomorrow. We usually travel at least 3 times a year. So we try to touch base there. But I'm based in Argentina.
And where is Cadre? Is it only Argentinian jobs?
Yeah, actually, we have clients in the US. That's why Cadre is based there in Florida. But we have clients in US and in Europe. And then those clients are looking for talent in Latin America. So we find them in Argentina or Colombia or Brazil, Peru. So everywhere in Latam. But my team, Cadre's team, is in Argentina.
Okay, thank you.
So far, how is the conference doing? Good.
Oh, sorry. It's actually been pretty good for me anyway. It's been, well, I am one of the planners, so of this, but we did a really good job planning and organizing because it's different from all the other career fairs I've attended, because we've been having a lot of direct contact with the people who do the hiring. So, and like just okay, offers of interviews, all right, send me a resume and I'll reach out to you, and usually don't get that at other conferences. So this is pretty neat. Yeah.
That's good. That's the whole purpose
Yeah.
to do those connections. So it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely much nicer experience for what I've seen so far from other visual ones.
Yeah, it's a lot more intimate, actually. That's what
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Emilia, we can start whenever you feel comfortable doing it.
Okay. Great. So I started with this presentation with the name of this, let's say, roundtable, because I don't want to speak by myself. So hopefully, if you have any questions or if you want to raise your hand and discuss something on specific that we are going to review together, feel free to do so. And Javier will help me manage those questions as well. So today we are going to talk about resume building and interview preparation. And before moving forward, I will introduce myself very quickly. So my name is Emilia, but you can call me Emily, you can call me Emmy. I'm a co-founder and HR manager at Cadre. I was talking with Jackie about Cadre. We are a recruiting and staffing agency. We work with clients mainly in the US or in Europe that are looking for talent, technical talent in Latin America. So I'm in Argentina, and we have a strong database of profiles here in Argentina, but we look for talent all over Latam. I've been in the HR world and recruiting for technical roles for a long time now, over 10 years. But I studied as a psychologist. I have a bachelor's degree on psychology. I used to work as a psychology, but then I just switched to the HR world and never stopped. I have a son. He's a 3-year-old. His name is Elio, and I love to take photographs. I don't have much time now, but I love to do that in my free time. So first thing first, I wanted to know if everyone here in the room is actually looking for a job right now. If you are, what do you expect to get from this roundtable, from this webinar, or the name that we want to put it?
I'm job hunting.
Okay.
I've been employed for several months now. And I would have turned my camera on, but I got up to put a little color in front of my hair because I have a job interview coming up in about an hour. I don't know.
Oh,
I think so. You know what, since I'm a volunteer here and I know we've got these great sessions, I'm here to listen to you talk about resumes and interviewing. So you're gonna really
oh,
actually get some tips from you to use on my interview coming up.
okay.
Or maybe the better
So you will
question
get
is,
all the fresh information to to the interview.
It'll be in
right,
my mind.
right. And
Mhm.
so who here is not looking for a job? Aside from Crystal. She works with transformation experts. So I guess we're all looking for a job.
That's good to know.
Okay.
So let's start from the beginning. One of the things that we need to understand right now is how is the job market working, what is going on, what are recruiters or HR looking for in the talents. So one thing that changed a lot from when I started doing recruiting is that now we have a lot of automated tools to source candidates or to filter them or to do screening to those candidates. So this is not something to be afraid of, just to have it on mind to make sure that if we are going to craft our resumes and if we are going to prepare our information, our experience to showcase to an employer, we need to know that our first filter will be for sure an application tracking system or an automated tool or now an AI tool. So we are going to review this throughout the session, and we're going to have some tips to craft our resume accordingly. So there are a few things that I don't know if you already heard about the future of work and the skills that our clients and companies and employers are looking for. But this is something that it's being highlighted even more than technical requirements. So this is something to also start looking for when we are doing this research on what's going on the job hunting. And all of this will be a huge help for us to make sure that we can build our resume and try to uh, put there all the information that we need first to pass those automated filters, and then to make sure that we can highlight how we are preparing for the jobs of the future. So I left here some skills that are being a huge thing now for next year. And you will notice that most of them are soft skills. They're just two of them that are based on technology or based on the tools that we need to learn to do a specific job. But then you will find that most of the skills that we will need to work on for the jobs, it will be, for example, how fast we can learn things if we are already trying to learn new technologies or trying to learn new markets, or what are we doing in our free time, or when we, what is our motivation when it comes to our professional background or professional learning. So active learning, analytical thinking, how we solve the problems that we have on our job scenarios. If we have this critical thinking to find different solutions to a same problem, how can we practice to be in creatives, the leadership skills that we have, how can we overcome problems that we face day to day, or if we are flexible enough to take a different task or assignment in our jobs. And all of this, we will, again, this is just an introduction, but we will see then how can we translate these words into actions, into how can I say on a resume or even in an interview that I am a creative person, or that I have that I am flexible. I used to work for startups, and now those startups are my clients. So flexibility and overcoming difficulties is a huge thing for them, because they need to change so fast and adapt so fast to the market, that you will see that every one of these skills will be asked for in an interview, most importantly.
I was reading
So
in Forbes magazine that the top, one of the top skills that most companies are now looking for, that because they lack it so much, is EQ, emotional intelligence.
mhm,
So that's one of the skills that they're looking for. And
yeah.
so do you know
And
anything more about that?
the thing is that I was just about to say that, how can we translate um, this skill into actions, into words, into how can I take an assignment and practice this, right? So what do you think is this emotional uh, uh, skill in a day-to-day work?
Well, the emotional intelligence part is knowing yourself, knowing what triggers you have, where your temperature is, what can set you off, and also knowing others and what sets them off and what they're dealing with. And you also have to know when you're dealing with other people, maybe they're not arrogant, maybe they're not conceited, they're just shy. Because the
Mm-hmm,
shy people often come off as very conceited just because they're shy and introverted.
mm-hmm,
And also you have to know, somebody is in a bad mood. That's not their regular thing. They're just, their child's got the flu and they're worried about it. So, you have to maneuver and I have to catch myself sometimes when I can feel like, I feel like all of a sudden, I can feel my temperature going up because I'm getting more and more nervous or more and more anxious. So I have to go,
yes.
I just gotta calm down. I just
Mm-hmm,
gotta, but it's just okay. You
mm-hmm.
gotta come from a different
And
angle.
it's thank you, Julie, for that, because it's one of the things that we're going to see in another slide, is this self-awareness. So what do I understand about me and how I behave in a work environment, or even in my own personal life, because that self-awareness will make me have information to showcase in a resume or in an interview, how, with an example, and you mentioned a few, so that's great, how can I translate that emotional intelligence that I have into words that make sense for the recruiter or the HR manager that is interviewing me. And sometimes we are so set to ask things that we think the other one wants to hear, and we go to an interview or we put things on our CV that are super standard, downloaded from Google, and now ChatGPT. So we need to take a moment to address our experience and how we handle different situations in previous jobs or roles, to make sure that whenever an HR manager recruiter asks for our strengths and weakness, we can not only say I'm super responsible and I deliver my assignments on time, but also say, hey, I've noticed that I have this skill that when I'm in a team, I tend to do this and that because I feel this way, or I tend to help this way because I know that this is something that comes easier for me to do. So this self-awareness is going to be huge for us to stand out from others that are just saying the same thing all over. Later, if we have some time, I will show a video that I love. I'm sure everyone saw it already, but it's this beer company that is doing a recruiting task. So I will share that with you
Oh,
later.
good. I'd love to
It's
see that.
amazing.
Good. Okay.
It's very, very good.
Awesome.
So one of the things that I want to start with is how we can craft our resumes for these jobs that we're looking for. And sometimes we tend to do the other way around. We start doing our CVs and put all the information there, and then we look for a job, and then we send our CV. And if it doesn't match the job description, we send it anyway. So my advice is that we start the other way around. So how can we craft our resumes uh, to apply to these jobs? First, we need to do a research of different job descriptions of the role that we're looking for. So let's say that I want to look for a job as a recruiter, as a technical recruiter. So try to find 3, 4, 5 job descriptions on LinkedIn. It's super quick, super easy. So we can find job descriptions and see what are the companies looking for in this specific role. There are a lot of tools. I put there one, JobScan, that can help us like um, find matches on different job descriptions and see the words that they are using and what they are asking for. But let's try to take a moment and do this exercise by ourselves and try to read these job descriptions and try to find all the words that we find that are similar. What do they have in common? What are all companies looking for in this specific role? Because once I have that information, I can align my resume to those jobs and be relevant for those jobs. So if I know that they are looking for experience on a specific tool, if I don't have it, if I don't have that experience, that's better, because I will now have information on what do I need to improve in order to get this job that I want. So let's say that they are all looking for experience using a specific application tracking system. And I don't have experience on that, but I've been using a lot of different ones before, and I adapt and learn each one of them on certain amount of time. So I can show my flexibility to learn a different tool that I don't have a problem with it. And if I'm not using any of those tools, I know that before applying to those jobs, I will need to upgrade my skill on that specific field. So doing this research will help me with two things: learn what I'm missing, what I need to add to my skill set, or highlight the skills that I have that sometimes you miss because, I don't know, you don't think about it, and it comes easier for you, so you don't mention it, but now you're seeing that everyone is asking for this. So research the job descriptions that are aligned with the job that you're looking for. And then you can go ahead and structure your resume with this information. So one of the things that I want to share with you is that we as recruiters, we use a lot of tools, right, to keep track of the candidates that are going through the funnel of the process. So each application tracking system has different features, but most of them, they are meant to filter candidates based on matching words, right? So that's why, first of all, we need to see what's the job description asking for, see if we have those keywords in our CV and our resume, and making sure that that information that we structure on our resume will come through directly. So this is just a personal suggestion, but avoiding like large images and too much colors in your resumes or distracting information. For me, that's a plus. If you can keep it simple and just share your personal information, work experience, academic background, just with those highlighted titles. And this is, I don't know if I should say this, but
I
the
heard a
average,
Word doc is the best.
I'm
No,
sorry?
no, go ahead, say what you were going to share. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, no worries. I was saying that we recruiters can take like 10 minutes to scan a CV. I'm not talking about a machine, okay? I'm talking about an actual person screening a resume or reviewing a resume. So it takes like 6 to 10 seconds to review a resume. So what we do is like try to find highlights in the page that we're looking for. So we will look for personal information, work experience, or job experience, as Julie, I think you were mentioning, academic background, and extra information. So if we can like highlight the way that we are seeing that information, it will help you get the attention of the recruiter. And of course, if you're using those keywords, making sure as well that the application tracking system won't filter your resume. So and this is something that I think an average advice that I usually do. First of all, you have to list your experience from recent to oldest. So the first thing that I've noticed on your CV is what you are currently doing right now, your current experience. And then this is something very trendy on LinkedIn nowadays, that we developer guru or talented and fancy names to name your current role. Just keep it simple. Don't do those creative titles for your resume. Just keep it simple. Make sure that everyone understands what you're doing. And here comes my second advice. And I use this a lot with developers. Try to explain your experience as you're telling this to a family member, to your parents, right? There's no better way to test if what you're saying is coming through the correct way, but to say it to your family members or to your parents. So every time that I try to practice my pitch or what do I do with cadre, I try to explain it to someone, to a friend, to a family member. And if they understand that, I can go ahead and translate it to everyone else. So keep it simple. Try to explain what you do in simple words, not try to get fancy or creative with those titles that it won't get the idea of what you're doing. And this is something that, since we were talking before about skills and skill sets that we have, we need to highlight not only the technical skills that we have, if we use a specific tool, if we have experience with this or that, but also the soft skills that we have to achieve that role or to perform at that role. So I put here a little example, and later on the slides, we're going to see a few more. But if I'm trying to say that I have these leadership skills, I cannot only say that I have leadership skills. I need to showcase that at least with a few more words to make sure that my information is getting to the other person. So, for example, say that I led a team of 5 in a machine learning project, resulting in a 20% increase of efficiency. So I say a little bit more, but I'm still showcasing my soft skill as a leader. So far, so good, because I'm seeing that we have some things in the chat, but I don't know. Okay, cool. So far?
So far, so good. So
Okay, cool. Julie, you were about to say something when we were talking about formatting our resumes.
Yes, I heard that it's best to not use one of those templates. It's just best to use a plain Word document.
Yes. And it's something, I believe it's something that it was caused because of the use of AI, that a few years ago, you could only see Canvas CVs, right? With a lot of images and a lot of block of colors and all that. And now we need like plain resumes, information very clear without any distraction. Because again, even if it's an automated tool or if it's a recruiter or HR manager, uh, we tend to review a lot of CVs per day, per hour. So if you can keep it simple and easy to read and easy to understand, you will be more likely to move forward in the process because we are trying to match the information that we receive from our client and for the job, the description that we have, and try to do the perfect match with the candidate. So if you can keep it simple and try to explain your role on that specific case, on that specific experience, it will be great. And that's why it was an exercise to do from the beginning, to understand what are the companies looking for, to make sure that I can do that match. If everyone is mentioning the same tool on the job description, if everyone is asking for the same responsibilities or requirements, I know that I have to adapt my resume to that. And to highlight these little things, these skills, soft skills or hard skills that I need. So since we are talking about doing this research to enhance our resumes, not only we need to look for the job descriptions, but also for me, it's super important to do a research on employers, on companies, because we need to understand their culture. We need to understand the profiles they are looking for. Who are they hiring? Are they hiring only senior roles? So if I send as a junior, if I send my CV to a company that is only hiring senior roles, I know that my chances to get there are not as higher as I hope so. So it will set my expectations. And this is something that we were talking with Javier before. We need to make sure that we set our expectations when we are looking for a job. And in order to do so, we need to do some research, because getting the job, it won't be 100% about us. It's 50-50. So if we are sending our resumes to companies that are not hiring our profiles, our experience, we won't get the job, and we don't have to get frustrated about that. We need to understand that that was not the job for us. So doing this research will help us understand how uh, how can we get to those employers if they are sharing their information via LinkedIn, or if they are sharing information um, on their website, if they ask for a creative application, if they just are very traditional and they just want your CV and I don't know, I think that it's not used anymore, at least here in Argentina, the recommendation letter. But you need to understand who are you talking to when you send your CV, right? One of the things that I like to do is when I'm doing this research from different clients or employers, I look for the people that are actually working in that company. So that can give you a bigger picture of what kind of profiles they are looking for. They are looking for senior, they are looking for fully remote people, they are looking for candidates with a specific background in, I don't know, technology, let's say. Are they hiring all technologies or are they focusing on just one? So every detail that you get from that employer will make you understand if it's worth it to send your resume to them or if you don't have any possibility to get on board. And again, when we can customize our resumes to the job description and to this type of employer that we're looking for, it's not the same if I'm looking for a job in a startup that if I'm looking a job in a multinational. So I need to understand who I addressing to. So this is going to be important. Um, and I put here this example. This is from the page of JobScan. They have uh, this kind of examples when you look for job description and you find words, how to put those words then, or how to adjust your experience. So then I can share the link as well. Is really cool how they said the information there. But this is what we are doing, right? So we are trying to review all job descriptions and trying to review what are the companies looking for, let's say, in a sales manager role, right? So this is how I tend to look for the information. They will ask for a manager who's used to train a team, who can set the goals for the sales that they need to do. They can do forecasts. They need certain amount of experience. They need these leadership skills. And if I start noticing that every company is looking for these specific things on a manager, on a sales manager, for example, I know now that my resume needs to have this kind of words, this kind of information, and I need to review my past experience and see if I can showcase this on my resume. Because this will be the most important part, right? I'm not gonna lie on my resume. I need to look in my background, look in my past experience, and see if I have this experience in order to move forward with the process and send my resume. Any questions so far? Are we good?
We are good, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
In terms of you apply for something that you qualify, I mean there are chances where you maybe overqualify, you still want to apply because this is a role that actually matches, a good part of your experience.
Mhm.
I mean, most of the time, I know I would do that, but is this something you would still encourage people to do? Because in the end, it's something that you are probably very experienced on, and you wouldn't mind taking the chance to actually perform those responsibilities and do this again.
Mhm. Well, that's a good question, and I think it's something that we also discussed previous our session. The thing is that it's not always up to us, and let me give you an example on my case. So as a recruiter, I'm in between the client who is looking for a talent and candidates who are looking for a job, right? So client is saying, okay, I need 3 years of experience on this because I will have this salary range to offer. And sometimes a candidate can say, hey, but I have 6 years of experience, so I have more than 3, and I have besides that experience, I have this and this, and I know how to use this tool, and I know. And the thing is that you need to understand if your employer is doing a first research of candidates and trying to see how the market is performing, or if they are just looking for a junior or semi-senior role. Because again, you can have experience, but if you are overqualified, the chances are that the client won't get the chance to do an offer to you, and you can move forward in the process and you can exceed on the interviews. But at the end of the day, the possibilities that they have for a role like yours are not the ones that you need or that you're looking for, because sometimes it's a very um, operative role and you will do the same thing every day, and now you want to move forward to a more strategic role, let's say. I know if was that your question, if you are overqualified, if you need to apply either way?
Yes.
I will say it depends.
Yeah.
I Because if the client is looking for a less experienced role, chances are, and this is just for examples that I have in the technical field, chances are that their budget for the role can make it to your expectations. So even though you are overqualified and you can perform that excellent, they won't get the budget to hire you. So you will get filtered because you are overqualified. But
Okay.
again, if
Thank
you
you.
think about doing this research on your employer and see if they have only junior or semi-senior roles, you now know that maybe you will be overqualified for that.
What if you don't check all the boxes, but you would fit their company culture? How can you get 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 to speak to somebody who would say, okay, well, this person didn't have checked all the boxes, but they have the exact personality and fit that we would like to have at our
Mhm.
company?
Well, that's a good question. And it's funny that you asked that, because uh, women, we tend not to apply to a job if we don't feel
Mm-hmm.
all the requirements. So we tend to do that. So what we need to know in advance is the job description mentioning what is the requirements and what are the bonuses for, or the plus for the role. And if the things that I'm missing are critical for the role, or if it's something that uh, I can share in a different way. And let's do an example. So my first job as a recruiter, I didn't have experience as a recruiter at all. Uh, but I was used to doing a lot of interviews because I was a psychology, and I tend to do a lot of reports because I needed to fill those reports to send I to send to my supervisor. And I was flexible because I was a freelancer. I was using different platforms to work with this or that. So when I went to the first interview for this recruiter role, I tried to make sure that I can share that information and say, hey, I know how to do this. Maybe not in a technical role. I didn't had experience doing technical interviews for developers, but I'm not afraid to grab a phone and call them. I'm not afraid to do questions. I can understand. I have active listening. So there are a lot of things that you can change in your resume to explain that. And I know that we have like little time, so I wanted to address that by using this slide. So the best way to showcase your experience, if you think that you are missing one of the requirements, it's try to understand what does that situation will need, and if I already have experience doing that task or implementing that in a different way, so I can showcase that on my resume. So this, I'm sure you all heard of it, or maybe now that you're seeing it, you're finding out that in several interviews, recruiters or HR managers ask questions like this, right? So we ask, we use the STAR method to do interviews, and this is situation, task, action, and result. And this specific strategy will help you a lot to prepare yourself for interviews and also prepare your resume to address these different situations. So I was mentioning about doing switching from psychology to recruiting, right? So what was the event or the situation that I needed to talk about? I needed to talk about how do I perform doing interviews to uh, a, a patient or a candidate. I needed to explain that on my resume to make sure that if I wanted to get a job as a recruiter, I can explain that I've been in a similar situation. And when we move forward to task, I need to explain what was my responsibility in that situation and what did I do in order to accomplish that assignment that I have, that task, and what were the results of my implementation or my work doing that. So when you start thinking about that, it's easier for us to use examples. So if the interviewer is asking, do you have experience doing this or that? You need to look for a situation in previous experience and try to say, yes, I had this situation. I had a deadline that I had to submit a report of a patient. So what I did was trying to get all my notes and try to address all of them in a in a in a report, trying to highlight this and this because I knew that my supervisor will need to read that information. And it turns out that when I delivered that, now we're using that format to fill new interviews. So I try to tell the whole story on how I do it because that will help me, first of all, explain what I do and my experience, my skills, and the tools that I use, but also most of the times the other person that is doing the interview might not know everything about our role. So if we get the chance to explain them in detail what we do with examples and with specifics, it will be easier for them to understand and to share that information with the hiring manager that will make the decision to move forward or not with us in the process. So I think that if we try to, first of all, if we try to understand what is the market asking for in a role like what we want, and then we try to find those keywords and try to match our experience with that information and try to understand who are we addressing our resumes to, and then trying to fill our information with specific information about this situation, task, actions, assignments that we get, and the results that we obtain of our work. It will be easier for us to have that information in like very quickly in an interview.
All right, time check, team.
Yeah, we had basically a couple of minutes before we head to the next event. So if there are any other questions. Okay. All right, so I believe that's it for today. Emilia, is there anything else you would like to share before we finish up?
I will share this video. I will look for it later. I don't know how can I share it then
You can email it to either Julie or Ali, and
okay, cool.
it shouldn't be a problem.
And then I know that I believe it was Jackie. Maybe you don't have time now to do it, but there's a great tool for to prep for interviews that is from Google. So it's super friendly to use, and it provides like different scenarios from presentation of introducing yourself to ask like technical questions if you need to, and then it will give you feedback on what you're saying, what can you improve. So there are a lot of tools that we can use now, and I think this is something that technology is helping a lot to warm up and to prep for the interviews. So we need to make a good use of it and try to rely on that in order to practice if we need so.
Okay, that's the Google interview warm-up that you put here?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll look
it's
for it.
really cool.
All right.
And one of the things that I've learned, and this is like the last thing, but in the startup world, a lot of companies trying to sell their products or services, they practice their pitch, right? So their elevator pitch, and they try to sell, market difference, what they are doing. And we should do the same with our experience. So we need to practice our pitch. We need to practice what we are saying about us. And we cannot go to a go to an interview and say, I'm very responsible. And like standard things that we find online. I'm very passionate about my job. I do overtime. And no, we need to find our pitch, what will make a difference, what will make us stand out. And the only way we can do so is, as we were talking before with Julie, this self-awareness about what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what can I take from past experience, and try to build that elevator pitch with a specific example that will help us get through the first part, at least, of the interview.
Okay, thank you. That's definitely very helpful. Again, thank you for your time. Those who
Thank you,
attended,
guys.
also thank you very much. Please remember there's a couple links on the chat for you to enter your feedback. The presentation will be shared later with us and make it
Yeah.
available to those who requested or signed those forms or fill out that form as well. Much appreciated your time, Emilia. Hopefully the weather is warming up in Argentina.
Yeah.
And
And
if
also
you
this will be, this is being recorded, so there will be a YouTube presentation of this
Cool.
event,
Session.
of this session.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you again. Please remember there's another session coming up with her and her team right now. So feel free to join that room.